ready for our next session. I can see the slides already up, so we'll get started.
Awesome. Hello, everyone. Am I supposed to be able to see the slides? Up there. Oh, down here. Okay, cool.
Yes.
Keep going. So, hello, everyone, and welcome to our presentation about being mission-minded in the multifamily industry. During this keynote conversation, we will quickly touch on Fiona Forward here at Digible, go in depth about Move for Hunger with Bridget, discuss the ins and outs of the ESG strategy, and provide an idea of what's next for Move for Hunger and how to get involved today. To start, my name is Arden Murphy. I'm an account manager here at Digible. I'm also involved with Fiona Forward as a self-proclaimed social media and communication lead, if you will. Don't take that anywhere. That's not official, but just kind of what I introduce myself as sometimes. And this is Bridget. So you can give a quick intro, Bridget.
Hey guys, as Arden said, I'm Bridget Foley. I'm the Director of Multifamily Partnerships with Move for Hunger, and I'm super excited to learn a little bit more about Fiona Forward with you, Arden, today, and get to know a little bit more about Digible as well, and talk to everyone in the audience about what Move for Hunger does, that ESG strategy, and everything that kind of encompasses all of that.
Awesome. Yeah, can't wait. It's going to be so much fun. To paint the picture for anyone who is not super familiar with Fiona Forward here at Digible, it is our community and engagement initiative. From its inception in 2018 and throughout its tenure, the program has contributed to improving the greater Denver community by providing support to people facing food scarcity, anyone experiencing houselessness, as well as restoring the public outdoor spaces and trails surrounding the metro area. Although we have historically helped out wherever we could, we are beginning to narrow our focus on helping the communities directly affected by our industry, the multifamily housing industry, in order to make a larger impact. Some recent initiatives include our involvement with Food for Thought Denver, Brothers Redevelopment, Special Olympics Colorado, and Volunteer Outdoor Colorado. If anyone is interested in learning more, episode 94, I believe, of the Digital Dudes podcast talks in great depth about the founding story of the initiative and where we are hoping to take it sooner than later. With the goal and passion to make a meaningful and lasting impact in the Denver metro area and beyond, we are constantly looking to find ways for those in the real estate industry to take action in their communities nationwide. That's why we're chatting with Bridget here today, which is going to be such a great conversation. And just to set the scene for Bridget, Bridget, CHES, is a powerhouse leader of the Move for Hunger multifamily program. For the past 5 years, she's created and adapted the multifamily program to help multifamily industry leaders give back and rescue food 365 days a year. In Bridget's current role as Director of Multifamily Partnerships, she leads partners and new members to greatness with her team of engagement and transport coordinators. A native Jersey girl, Bridget loves to go to the beach and spend time down the shore. You can always find Bridget reading a new book talk book from TikTok, if anyone doesn't know, and doing an OOTD on Instagram. Bridget is known for her fiery passion and for always looking for new, fun, and creative ways for everyone to give back. So welcome, Bridget. Let's a clap so I can hear the whole audience.
Yeah, we'll do.
Just reading
We'll
through
do a round of applause.
bio for you, Bridget. I feel like we are soul sisters. It's so funny. I feel like last week when we hopped on just to talk about what we're going to talk about today, we just had such great banter. I'm like, Jersey girl, Wisconsin girl, which has no relation, but I just love our little connection so far. So I'm really excited.
You're a Jersey girl at heart. It's okay. You can come over. Right. We'll bring you in.
You're right. Anyone can be a Jersey girl, I guess. Definitely a thing. That's so funny. And I am the worst at switching slides here. So this was the slide for Bridget. You can see the meet the speaker slide, right? Okay, cool. Yeah. Awesome. Good. I'm glad I'm all in the know with the tech now.
You're doing great.
Great, awesome. But before we get into our discussion surrounding widespread hunger, food insecurity, and food waste, we did want to get a little bit of audience involvement with a quick 2-question poll. I think those will be launched in the chat. So yes, great. Here we are.
We got it.
Yeah, you can go ahead and read the first one, Bridget, if you'd like.
Yeah, so I think the first thing to really kind of gauge, not just what Move for Hunger is doing, but also what Fiona Forward's doing, is just to know what the audience thinks of how many Americans that are actually dealing with food insecurity each day. I put 75 million, 32 million, 37 million, and 42 million. Obviously, from those answers, I would assume that you guys would kind of gauge that there's a lot of people who are going to or dealing with food insecurity. So we'll give everyone like maybe 30 seconds to kind of answer and to see what that looks like.
Mm-hmm. It's looking
Yeah,
like
you should see
I wish
it on your screen right now, just a heads up, as I don't think I see any votes coming in yet. Does anybody not see the poll on their screen?
I see votes coming in, and it's looking pretty good. We've got a lot of
good.
people. Yeah. Going for the right answer here. Awesome. Well, things are still fluctuating a little bit. It's kind of a tight race here. But
oh, really? I can't see the answers, so I don't know.
So we have the top 2 answers that we're getting in are 37 million and 42 million, and they're neck and neck.
Ooh.
I'm not sure how many more
Let's see.
people.
Yeah.
Oh, we have 19 of 31, but I think this is a pretty good show up.
Yeah.
Oh, it's still changing. Okay, cool. Here are the results. So it was an even split between 37 million and 42 million. So the correct answer is 42 million people in the US deal with insecurity each day. On to the next question.
Okay.
So the next question, once it kind of gets up there, it should see who does hunger affect. I think that's a really interesting point to see how people kind of answer this. You know, the question or the answers are either marginalized communities, veterans, children, LGBTQIA+, or all of the above.
I'm not sure if you're seeing the poll on mine. It still says launching.
I'm still seeing the first question's answers. Should
Okay,
I X out of this?
It looks like our polls might have a little technical issue today.
Okay.
So maybe we can use the chat instead.
Well, we'll just kind of, yeah, we can use the chat. We can also go ahead because I know we have a lot of stuff that we want to kind of go through today. So we'll go on to the next, or just like to the next part.
Yeah.
But I know that's an important question to ask because in fact, it is all of the above. Hunger affects everybody. And I think Arden and I are really going to kind of touch upon that in our conversation today. Right, Arden?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Bridget, these are some really big numbers that we're seeing thrown around. So 42 million affecting everyone. Before we touch on Move for Hunger specifically, do you mind shedding light on why it is important to understand the details of food insecurity in the US and how it relates to our industry?
Definitely, for sure. So hunger impacts everybody. Obviously, through those numbers that we kind of just chatted through and saw in the polls, 42 million Americans are going to bed hungry. That's about 1 in 8 Americans or 1 in 6 children. And it affects every community. Like we said, marginalized communities, veterans, children, there we go, senior citizens, LGBTQI+, women. And it's blind to whoever you are. And, you know, you probably know someone who is either affected by it or is dealing with food insecurity right now. In fact, like I said, 42 million Americans don't know where their next meal is going to come from. And that's really where the food insecurity term comes from. You know, not having that stability of having a continuous food kind of source coming through. We saw this really impact our numbers from 2020 on. I know so many people, obviously 2020, the pandemic, affected everybody, but it's really affected the food insecurity and food relief industry. In fact, Feeding America did a study back in 2020 that about 60 million more people were going to the food banks for the first time ever in 2020. That's about a 50% increase from literally the year prior. These are people who were dealing with maybe health problems during COVID. They couldn't go back to work. Maybe they were furloughed. Kids, you know, they had to go back to school was virtual. I have a lot of teacher friends, and, you know, the virtual classroom was not only just a pain for some of the teachers, but it also could have been another burden on the families and the households who were already maybe on SNAP or having to then be on SNAP, or even breakfast and lunch programs. Those services were not had anymore. So it affected everybody, but it also, like I said, affects so many more people. African Americans are twice as likely to be food insecure than white households, and Indigenous families, which I thought this was an incredible stat, are 400% more likely to report being food insecure than white households as well. Obviously, you can see here too, you know, people in America are dealing with poverty and food insecurity more than ever before. In fact, 72% of Feeding America's services and people who use those services are living under that poverty line. And that's that median household line of income of $9,175 annually. You can see that on the screen here. That worker hourly compensation has also flatlined, increasing from just 17% from 1979 to 2019, while productivity has increased by 72%. That is insane to me. You know, I think everybody's working harder. People are doing more for companies and they're not being compensated. And I think this last point here about just like the average, average household, how much they would have to make to even afford a home. Housing is a huge thing, obviously, in real estate and multifamily industry, because that is the product. And it's the talk of the town about affordable housing. And really, you know, it's not today's discussion, but all of these things are very, it all is like a big circle when it comes to food insecurity. This national average of making $23 an hour to afford a modest 2-bedroom apartment, that is 3 times the federal minimum wage. And I do want to note that this is going to vary from city to city, from rural to urban communities, but it's a lot of a bigger picture than we think. People who might not have the economic stability through compensation, might not be able to have their home, might not be able to even have some sort of just like having to go on those SNAP programs and dealing with that as well. You know, all of this is all so important to understand when talking about hunger. And really learning about this, when I first came on to Move for Hunger back in 2018, is really what kind of drove me to continue our program and educating people in the multifamily industry. I have 10 years experience in the nonprofit world, from working at the American Diabetes Association to a local nonprofit up here called Camp Najeta out here in New Jersey. And there was nothing like what Move for Hunger is doing. I think what we do is very important, not just for the multifamily industry, but mover industry as well. And, you know, that's how I got involved. And, you know, I really wanted to hone in on why people are hungry as well.
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely a really great point, and to paint the picture for why what we're doing is important. Something that hit home with what you were saying was when schools went remote for the little kids in elementary and high school and middle school, they had no longer were able to rely on those meals in schools. And the reason that hit home for me is because I've been really involved with Fiona Forward, like we've said, and we have partnered with Food for Thought Denver for I think the last couple years, but have really been increasing our show up. Every Friday, they pack meals and distribute across Denver metro area, thousands of meals, hundreds of thousands of meals every month. And they did that all throughout the pandemic as well. I'm new to the Denver area, so I wasn't able to see that firsthand, but that is something that they really pride themselves in, is that they never gave up on the children. And that's looks like a lot of what Move for Hunger is doing too, providing food for those food banks, especially during times of increased scarcity across the nation.
Yeah.
Definitely. Super cool to also hear about how you got involved. Can you talk a little bit about how you built out the multifamily sector specifically?
Yeah, so our story, it kind of starts in 2009, and surprisingly, we were not always in multifamily. Our program on the multifamily side really only started in 2017, but where our roots are really ingrained in is the moving industry, the relocation industry. Our executive director, Adam Murphy, they have a family moving company here in New Jersey, Asbury Park, again, Bon Jovi, Bruce Springsteen, all that jazz. And noticing on his runs here in Asbury Park, a lot of people were just leaving food behind or leaving or throwing it out or having the movers deal with it. So just a simple question he asked was, hey, can I donate your food when you move? And within a month, he collected 300 pounds of food within that month to bring over to Monmouth County for Phil. And I really always say, like, that's when the movement started, just by that one simple question. Flash forward to 2017, having a wonderful success on the moving and relocation side. We started working with some properties out in Seattle. Surprising, I know, because again, this is prior to like COVID and dealing with virtual, like remote work. So going East Coast, West Coast was a huge jump for me. Just to kind of communicate people, I'm still not a good PST, EST person. I still don't understand. I'm still always having to check Google. But we started working with about 8 properties out there and worked with the Washington Multifamily Housing Association. And together we really started working on educating people using those program letters that we use about food insecurity, as well as just, again, simply asking people to donate their food when they move. And within 6 months, we collected 1,200 pounds of food, which is a definite success, I think, in a pilot. So we continued that kind of conversation and enthusiasm with the multifamily industry and the relocation and corporate housing industry as well. And we started down the West Coast, made our way back east. And then in 2018 is really when we launched nationwide to work with court furniture rental and really get into more communities to just kind of continue that conversation about food insecurity and food waste and how people, when they're moving out, can actually give back to their communities as well. So we now we're in all 50 states. We are in all major markets, metropolitan. We are in some tertiary, secondary, depending on where our movers are. We do work with over 1,100 movers as well. So we have a really big network of people who are wanting to give back to the communities they work and they serve in, and they live in too. These are the communities that everybody lives in. So we're here to assist and kind of hold everyone's hand to make sure that it's all a very sustainable way of giving back.
Definitely. And you touched on how you started in Seattle and then you made your way across all 50 states. How did that kind of look? Was it more word of mouth? Was it you guys going there advocating for the cause, or how did that end up?
Yeah, so it grew kind of organically. What I've learned is that multifamily, the industry professionals, are very, very philanthropic and they want to give back. They are the most passionate people that I've ever met. Some of my closest friends are in the multifamily industry now. So that's the first thing. These people, if they hear something that is so amazing and it's another way that you can give back, it travels fast. And so we really were striving on a lot of our champions to kind of continue that conversation to, maybe their property managers they work with, a leasing manager, one of their, supplier partners. So it was very organic in that first year to we went from 8 properties to, I want to say, 900 within the first year.
Wow.
Just by that organic growth. Yeah. We also do have a wonderful connection with about 30 now apartment associations. So being me, I'm the person who kind of travels around and gets to speak to wonderful people like yourself, and go to the association events, go to trade shows, conferences. and just really, like you said, just talk to people about the food insecurity problem and the food waste problem. That's not just affecting multifamily, it's affecting everybody globally as well. So that's sort of how we've grown to that crazy number of 3,000 properties. Mainly by myself, but also with the assistance of like my coordinators as well, who are the ones really doing the heavy lifting, literally picking up the boxes and bringing it to the food bank. I couldn't do it without my team.
That's amazing. I feel like you're being overly humble about that, but that is such an amazing accomplishment, Bridget. Super cool. I have heard of programs like Move for Hunger, but nothing to this extent as this well thought out across the entire nation. Like I had graduated college in 2021. I was moving across country and I was like, what do I do with these things? It's a common question that we all ask ourselves every year when we move. And you're providing that answer, which is so amazing. Super cool to see. But once you get
the amount of people,
Sorry.
I was going to say the amount of people that I see at these trade shows, these conferences that I meet, they show me photos. They're like, hey, this is what I have to deal with when I go back. And it's just stocked full, like cabinets full of food. And I was like, I can help you out with that. And they're like, that is the most amazing thing. Thank you for, you know, kind of taking that load off my shoulders to provide a service to my residents to give back. And they also, the second reaction is, duh, why didn't I think of that?
Exactly.
So, and they're like, that Adam Lowy, he's got some brain of his. I was like, he does, and he's great.
Exactly. And to my understanding, I think we might touch on this a little bit later, but the program accepts both non-perishables and fresh produce as well?
So on the multifamily side right now, we only focus on non-perishable items. We do have a fresh food program that we are launching. And like you said, I'll talk a little bit more about it later.
Okay.
About what that looks like. But yeah, so for right now, we do only focus on non-perishable items and everything stays local. So, you know, for example, here in New Jersey, we have the Community Food Bank of New Jersey, and we have the North and the South sector. And depending on where you're at, it's going to go to one of those. We have properties in Arizona that we have 23 properties in one property management company, and they have a property to food pantry kind of ratio. So from one property everything goes to St. Mary's, and the other one goes to the food bank that's the closest to them. And then another example is like Seattle. All of our 200 properties out there that we work in Seattle alone, they all go towards Northwest Harvest. So depending on where you are, depending on, you know, your relationship with a food bank or food pantry, all that stuff from your food drive or from your pickup, it stays local. You know, it's not going to go from Texas to Washington, from Washington out to Maine. So it all stays local for you. That's something always good to kind of also consider.
Yeah, that's really great to touch on the sustainability aspect of that too, keeping it there, not transporting it across the country and taking all of those energy sources as well. But another follow-up question I had, I feel like we've talked about this so much, but I'm like, oh, I have all these questions now. But say someone on this call is like, hey, I want to get involved. Can you touch high level about what the enrollment process would look like? And I know we're going to have our QR codes later, but just to give a little bit of a high level overview.
Yeah, definitely. So the enrollment process, I mean, we try to keep it easy. We try to keep it simple. I think those are two of our like most used words, not just like on our website, but like in my own pitches and my own calls, because we try to take what could be very stressful about moving and stressful about giving back, like actually taking the food to the food bank. That's one of the hardest challenges that people that's the feedback that they give. You know, I leave stuff in my car to go to Goodwill for like 2 weeks. You know, like exactly. I do it too. So we try to keep it easy. We try to keep it simple. So from an enrollment standpoint, just let me know through the QR code. We have a join page. You just will fill out a web lead form. Once I get that information, we'll set up a call just to go through any details on like what your engagement strategy is going to look like. And for that year, we'll also talk about like the tax deductible donation. We do ask for a financial donation, and that mainly goes towards the logistics coordination, as well as the food collection bags that we provide you, the program letters, and the marketing materials. access to our seasonal campaigns and all of that educational content and shareable images. So all of this stuff, it all kind of comes into that donation, that tax deductible donation station thing. So once that's all set up, we'll have my team member, Jennifer. She's fabulous. She's actually in Colorado. I always say she's from Denver, and she's like, I'm not from Denver. I'm from like an hour outside. I'm like,
So
I'm
you're
from New
from
Jersey.
Denver.
Everything.
Awesome.
Yeah, I was like, so you're from Denver.
Yeah.
No offense, love you, Jen. I know that she's on here today. So she'll be the one who's actually training the team, talking through the different parts of the program, because we do focus on the Donate Your Food When You Move program, but there's a lot of offshoots, and we know that giving back is not a one size fits all. You know, we're not trying to take this one cookie cutter and make it fit. So you might want to have a quarterly food drive. So we'll set that up. Maybe you're doing a social awareness campaign for Hunger Action Month, which is this month. You know, we'll work with you and see what that's going to look like. And we'll train the team on that as well. We'll also send out all the bags, send out all the digital information for the marketing. And then once it's all set up there, it's all on your, like, you're on your way. You know, you can go and do your own thing. And we're just really the support team to assist in creating the marketing materials and really making everything happen. So enrollment really and onboarding only really takes about 30 to 60 days, depending on when your training is and when your food drive is. But it's a really simple process. And like I said, we're here, we're open ears and open hearts to try and make a creative way to give back to your community. So we're always open for those kind of ideas.
Awesome. Follow-up question here, as always, coming at you with a million cues, but I was talking with my grandma. Actually, everyone at Digital knows I talk to my grandma like all the time. So I'm sure she was trying to come on today. I don't know if she somehow got access, but she was wondering if individuals would be able to get involved with Move for Hunger in any way, or is it just at that property management company level?
Yeah, so we do have a lot of individual donors with our Sustaining Donor Network. That is more financial, but we also do have volunteer opportunities with our special events team. So one of our special events that we like to do is a truck pull. So like if you want to have a team of people to get together and literally pull a truck and see who wins, see who's got to the finish line fastest, that's really fun. That's another way for individuals to just kind of get involved. We also have virtual opportunities like our Move to Fight Hunger event that usually happens in May, June-ish time.
Okay.
So that's another way for individuals to kind of also participate. You know, if there's somebody on the call that maybe if you're just also with a property or with a supplier and you want to get involved that way and assist with transport, we're always welcome to talking about that. And if you're in New Jersey, we always love having volunteers in the office to help pack up packages, pack up the bags, assist our team. Our wonderful admin assistant, Rachel, always likes to have our volunteers coming in for like the volunteer opportunities there.
Awesome. Great. I'll let my grandma know.
Yeah.
No, she's
Great.
texted me like 3 times about it, so she's super excited. But I
Great.
guess
Let's go, grandma.
Yeah, exactly. But we wanted to open it up just at this kind of halfway mark for anybody in the audience who might have any questions or thoughts on something that we might not have touched on, or maybe you want a little bit more of information and something we have touched on so far. So go ahead and throw anything in the chat, or I don't know if unmuting is a possibility one, but yeah, just let us know if anyone has any questions. Open for them all. Bridget can answer anything.
I know. I'm learning that I'm just like a really like shoot at your hip kind of gal at this point.
Exactly.
People throw things at me. I'm like, yes, I know exactly what that answer is.
Yeah, apparently I'm someone who goes off script, so I love that.
I love it.
Looks like Reed unmuted, maybe? Do you have something to say, Reed? Oh, maybe not. He's just hopping on with his camera. Was there anything in the chat one at all? Do you know?
Oh, I see one, just how to get involved during the holiday season.
Oh,
So
awesome.
I know I'll be talking a little bit about this at the end too. But the holiday season, obviously it's coming up. Basically October 1st, I'm like ready and roaring to go for like all of the holidays. I'm such a holiday kind of gal. So, and we're the same way at Move for Hunger. We like to be prepared. We like to think ahead. So we're already kind of planning our Thanksgiving food drives. We also have a trick or tan food drive that's in October. We have a season of giving food drive that's out in December. Resolve to Fight Hunger is our New Year's food drive. And I'll even throw in Valentine's Day. We'll pretend it's a real holiday. We have a Spread the Love food drive that's in February as well. So those are things that you can sign up for. You can do a DIY. You can also, as a property, sign up for it. Supplier, sign up your corporate office. We'll help out with the flyer. We'll help out with all of the bags as well and assisting with the logistics of the pickup. And so I think that's the really big way that people kind of think about giving back, is really assisting and giving back to the local communities during that holiday season. I always like to suggest pushing it out into like that Q1 time, just because a lot of people bring food in for Thanksgiving and then it goes right out the door, and then all the food pantries and food banks are really kind of depleted. So we want to really reinvigorate those pantries, make sure that there's more food at the beginning of the year. So I always like to say, spread them out when you're doing your food drive scheduling. But I think so that would be the first big thing. We'll also talk through, I think we have the QR code at the end with the join page, but with Hunger Action Month right now, I consider this a holiday in my own world. But doing a fundraiser or adding in on one of the fundraisers that we have going on, I think that's another great way to kind of give back.
Awesome. Great. Thanks, Adam, for your question. Were there any?
And I see one from Tammy about infographics and social media links to have to share this month being Hunger Action Month. Yes, we do. So first, we do have obviously our website. We have our fundraiser, and I'm also going to share some other like shout outs at the end about just events to kind of join in on. But social media, all of our social is at Move for Hunger. So you can share out anything that is shared on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook. We also have some information on YouTube that you can share out to your team. And then and TikTok, we love our TikToks.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that you kind of can share is definitely reshare our TikToks. We love them. Emily does a wonderful job at them. And then we also have infographics. So if you want any extra kind of educational like visuals, just definitely shoot me over an email. I'll send them over. We have everything, like for every single campaign, we have a created marketing plan with all of the social media images that are pre-made for you and for anybody who wants to share a little bit more about Move for Hunger. So I'll definitely send those over to you, Tammy.
Yeah, Tammy, we'll be sending out in some way or another, sending out a like one-sheeter with some helpful resources, and we could definitely include some sort of banners and like some things like some collateral for teams to share out, which would be really helpful for anyone interested. But speaking of, if there weren't any other burning questions, I guess we can move on to kind of our second portion of today. Speaking of giving back to our communities, and we are going to transition to the ESG and CSR, big acronym ladies over here, portion of the conversation today. To kick it off, Bridget and I would like to know more about you guys, the audience's understanding of ESG and CSR. So Juan, go ahead and hit it with the next poll if you can.
Okay, we're gonna try this again. If it doesn't work, I might have to instruct you to launch it on your end.
Okay.
Let me know if you see anything popping up yet.
Nope, not yet.
Okay, so I think, Arden, if you click the polls quizzes button on your end.
Yes.
And then from the drop down, select the what does ESG stand for?
Drop down, drop down, drop down.
At the very top, it should have all the polls, I hope.
So I'm just seeing the first question still. Should I hit X out of it maybe and hit polls.
Is there another, like a drop down at the top? If not, then I think it might not work.
Okay, no worries. There's definitely no drop down, I think.
Okay, then
Not that I'm seeing. Polls, I can like right click on polls. No.
okay,
Oh,
how
we can
about
go ahead
this?
and ask.
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
I'll pull up the questions on my end. I'll just take a screenshot and put it on my screen, and then people can answer in the chat. How about that?
That sounds great. Thank you so much. A
Fabulous.
tech whiz on the spot. We love to see it.
I think Mercury's in retrograde, so I think that's why we have a lot of tech issues today. It's okay.
I was saying
Blame the
that. I was
planet.
like, I couldn't sleep last night. What was it? Oh, Mercury's in retrograde. That's got to be it.
Mercury's in retrograde.
Okay, cool.
We talk a lot about astrology at Move for Hunger.
Good to know. Okay, so if everyone can head over to Juan's screen. So the first question, if anyone can't seem to see it or read it, just throw those answers in the chat. But the first one is simply, what does ESG stand for? The first answer is environmental, societal governance. The next one is expansion, succession, and goals. I guess I should be saying A, B, C, D. So C would be environmental, social, governance. And then answer D is e-commerce, social media, and gamification. And let me know if anyone needs those to be said out loud again. I could just do it. A is environmental, societal, governance. B is expansion, succession, goals. And C is environmental, social, governance. And D is e-commerce, social media, gamification. So if anyone has a guess, throw them in the chat. Got one for C. C. Ooh, you guys are good. Oh, you just gave it away.
It's like they're smart. They go to trade shows and they learn things and it's all in their brains. I love it.
You guys got it. So yeah, the answer is C, which is environmental social governance. Yeah, we're going to dive deep into that, but we'll go ahead and do the second question before heading over there. So Juan, next question would be great. Great. So you can take this one if you want, Bridget.
Yeah, so I think something that Arden and I wanted to learn from people who are coming into the session today is really if corporate social responsibility and ESG is something your company is invested in. So we said yes, A is yes, B is no, C is maybe, but not sure, and then D is yes, but it definitely needs some work.
Oh, great.
Thank you, Erica.
Thank you, Erica. I could have done that. That would have been really, really helpful. Sorry, guys. Definitely tech is not my strongest suit.
Yeah, you're good, girl. We got it.
Trying my best, just smiling. All right, we have got one for D, A. We're expecting these ones to be a little bit all over the board.
Yeah, I think with CSR kind of being a little bit newer compared to other business operation kind of strategies, you know, it's definitely something that is going to be all over the place when it comes to company to company.
Yeah. Well, great. Thanks everyone for your participation on those. I know the polls are a little bit tough, but thanks everyone. That gives us a better idea of like who you guys all are, what your connection with to these crazy acronyms are. So we'll just go ahead and get into it. So Bridget, I'll let you take it away about how to implement an ESG strategy for employees, connection to trends.
Yeah, definitely. So I think for those of you who don't know, I wanted to first kind of talk about the terminology between E, S, and G and what that means. I think, like we were just saying, it gets thrown around a lot. It's kind of a buzzword. And both of them are usually interconnected or just like used in the same sentence, but in different times. You know, it's just like always like a one or the other. But it's really, they're together. So really environmental as an entire like term, it does consider how the company's procedures, operations are performing as stewards of nature. So think, in the multifamily industry, real estate, we're thinking LEED certifications. We're thinking energy and water conservation. We're thinking waste management and recycling, and even electric car posts, and making sure that those are options for people to utilize. Social, that really measures a company's relationships with its employees, the customers or consumers, maybe the residents in this case, and the community that they are in. So, think Boys and Girls Club, philanthropy, kind of like in the community awareness kind of philanthropy there. Food drives, little spiel there. Building safety, making sure that you're all on OSHA so that people are, the requirements are there as well. Health and well-being benefits for your employees, and then also just, which is I think one of the most important things, is the DE&I practices of the actual company itself as well. So the last thing obviously is governance, and this is sometimes switched around, like, is it the governmental, is it like, what is this? It does deal with how the company is governed. So think board members, again, the board member diversity as well, shareholder rights, and executive pay. So those are the three big things that we want to just kind of think about when we're talking about all of these ESG and CSR and the million acronyms that kind of go with it. So like you guys have on your screen here, something that goes into ESG is obviously the environment. And what does the environment kind of, there's that huge thing that's going on right now that's, kind of a big deal, is climate change. And food waste really does impact climate change on a huge scale, on a massive scale. And so I wanted to go through and step through some statistics that we have, and then we'll go through maybe some ways that you can all strategize and help from your own company and from your own personal impact as well. So as Americans, we do waste a lot of things, not just food, but we're going to talk about food today. And we waste about 40 million tons of food, which is about 80 billion pounds, which I can't even think about 40 million. That's still just like a crazy number to me. But 80 billion pounds of food, that's even crazier. My brain, I'm not a math person, so I'm like, what? That's a real number. But that is wasted from harvest to production all the way to your dinner plate. And 43% of that food is wasted at home. About 250 pounds of food is actually wasted each year for each average American household, which is about $1,200 when you kind of make dollars to cents there. Something else that I thought was very interesting in doing research was, on average, companies take about a 74% loss from food waste each year. Meanwhile, as you can see on the screen here today, 35% of that food that we consume goes unused or uneaten. And that means that all of that food that's uneaten, unused, is going to the landfills and contributing to carbon emissions. And what do carbon emissions really kind of contribute to? Climate change and those greenhouse gases. So in fact, 20% of those greenhouse gases are created by agricultural activity. And unfortunately, all that food that is put into the landfills, it's decomposing anaerobically, which means that it's releasing methane into the atmosphere. And methane is a greenhouse gas that is 25 times more harmful and potent than carbon dioxide. So you're looking at this and you're like, I do it myself too. I think that we all are, guilty of this, of, I didn't finish my top ramen. I'm a top ramen gal myself. I'll just toss it out. It's okay. It's better than, me stuffing my face a little bit more. But in fact, that food then will go out to a landfill. And, coming from the Move for Hunger hat, we're talking non-perishable items. Those items that are in the cabinet that would be tossed out by the maintenance director or the property manager, that food that's good, non-perishable items that could feed somebody who is dealing with food insecurity, that food is being tossed out. and it's being, broken down, decomposing, and making climate change a little bit worse every day. So really, at the end of the day, you're kind of thinking, this is something that like I can't just do by myself, and I think as a consumer myself, and obviously somebody who's in senior leadership as well, it's something that we all have to band together to kind of look at from an operations standpoint, from the company standpoint as well. Customers, investors, people who are, giving money to your companies, they want to invest in companies that have a strong ESG performance. 71% of those people, in fact, of US consumers really want to buy from a socially responsible company and organization. They want to, it attracts really great, wonderful, highly skilled people and retains people as well. So overall, having an ESG program and these initiatives to, maybe it's not just food waste, maybe you are assisting with water conservation or working with your local, local different philanthropy or charity. All of these are not only helping the world that we live in, it's also helping out your bottom line. So I think that that's all very important to kind of portray and kind of put it all on the table, on the dinner table, if you will.
Yeah, definitely. Moving on to how this could be developed at someone's own company, the property management company. How do you push these companies to look from within and really develop these strategies in their own companies?
Yeah, I mean, my personal, with Move for Hunger, I'm here to be a sounding board to hear what the properties and the management companies, corporate teams are seeing. And I'm trying to sit down and say, hey, we got to go through some of these steps first, and you guys got to go through an audit and things like that. And I can go through like a full strategy, what that looks like too. But I think personally with Move for Hunger, that's sort of where we come in. We come in as the sounding board, hearing what the properties look like, or what they're doing already, what their processes are already in place, maximizing and improving upon what they already have in place, and saying, okay, you already have a pretty robust move-out program and you have a high turnover rate. How about we add in a push notification on your Yardi system, your portal, to make sure that people are reminded to donate their food when they move, or throughout the year, make it a giftable kind of gift card situation where people can come in and again donate their food throughout the year that they might not be using and might actually be tossing away in the coming weeks or months. So thinking outside the box that way, and really kind of seeing what they already have in place, improving upon it, and optimizing it that way.
Given time, I did want to quickly touch on, beyond the impact of the community, how your type of program, Move for Hunger, does affect the residents and the on-site teams, as well as how it may affect the roaring Gen Z renter and employee that's coming for us. Here I am sitting here, but
Yeah.
as we know, they are more of a mission-minded generation. So how do you feel that will impact Move for Hunger in the future as well?
Yeah, I mean,
That
I
was loaded.
think
So go ahead and take whatever
yeah,
angle.
that's a lot. I'll do it all. As we've learned, I
Great.
have an answer for everything.
Yeah, you do.
What's hilarious is I think that and I think a lot of my friends can attest to this, who, if you go to a trade show or a conference, there's always a Gen Z, how to deal with Gen Z 101, or how to deal with millennials 101.
So funny.
And always the new kid on the block always has to go to those sessions, where sometimes I do think, a lot of the older generations should also be attending those and kind of bridging that gap, that generational gap, because like you said, Gen Z is very mission-minded. Millennials are very mission-minded. They want to have the businesses take lead in igniting change with ESG, with CSR, with giving back to their communities. They know that they already do it in their own lives. I have many friends that volunteer in their own backyards, whether it be at a local food bank, soup kitchens, local, gleaning opportunities as well. There's so many different ways to give back. And we want to see the companies that we're supporting do the same thing. I say we because I'm a millennial. I'm at that in-between mark. Millennials and Gen Z also think that it's the obligation to help people or take action to improve on like all of those issues that sometimes, depending on who you talk to, could be from the companies that they already, are already supporting. And they want to see it in everyday businesses, and they want it to be actionable. People don't want to just see it on your website, although don't get me wrong, it's great to have a vision statement. It's great to have it on your social media. It's great to be touting that you're doing work. I think that's amazing because it shows off like, hey, we are doing stuff, and look at our teams that are doing this stuff. But you need to kind of back it up. You can't just make a vision statement and say, oh, we're done. I think at the end of the day, it's that, younger generations want you to put your money where your mouth is, walk the walk, talk the talk. And they don't think it's just our own internal, personal kind of mission and goal in life to personally take care of climate change. We need some help from the larger organizations and companies as well to be assisting these communities.
Exactly.
So I think that's from a Gen Z hat, from a millennial hat, I think that's kind of where it comes from. I just went to the Georgia Apartment Association event down in Amelia Island, Florida, which coming from the north, I'm like, Georgia's in Florida. I'm like, oh, it's Florida Georgia line. And my sister was so funny. She goes, oh, like the band? I was like, yes, like the band. It's a real place. The band was not before.
But didn't the band break up? So now what is it? Just Florida line, Georgia line?
That's what I heard.
I think you told me that. I would never
do
Florida.
I saw it on TikTok. So that's usually my go-to. I saw it on TikTok, I swear. Yeah, they changed it to Florida and Georgia, and they're doing their solo acts. I don't know. But at the GIA conference, Leah Smith and Virginia Love had a wonderful session on like what consumers are wanting and the trends in multifamily. And I think the biggest thing that hit home to me, and again was like that oh joy kind of moment, was that people want to support people. People want to support authentic commitments to the communities that they're serving. They don't want to just, like I said, throw money where they're going. Consumers, they want the price, they want the package, and they want authenticity. And I think Move for Hunger, if I do say so myself, we personally do strive to make sure that companies are implementing. We're making new words up as we go along. Like our model of donating your food when you move, and again, making it their own, and really just making it their own social awareness campaign as well.
Awesome. Cool. Were there any other final notes? I know we had a lot to touch on here today. Do you feel like you had anything else you wanted to touch on with ESG CSR strategy, even Move for Hunger? Otherwise, we can jump to our join today, donate today slides and give people how to get involved.
Yeah, I think it's really just at the end of the day that ESG and CSR is an ever evolving, ever moving thing. Just as your business should be, you should be always moving forward. You should be always looking to the future and those future generations. I mean, even internally, we've changed our mission statement to being a little bit more all-encompassing for all of the amazing things that we're launching, not just internally, but externally as well. So I think that would be like if you're getting anything from this session today, is to always look forward, look forward to the next generation and making it more sustainable and life-giving for that generation ahead.
Definitely.
Getting philosophical. Mic drop.
Mic drop. All right. On to our little QR codes. I'm so proud of myself for making QR codes. Who knew they were QR code generators?
I know.
Here they are. But this first one is just a little bit more of information about Hunger Action Month across the nation and what Move for Hunger specifically does with this initiative. There's also a donate section, I believe, right in here. Yeah, right, Bridget?
Yeah. So yeah, if you, I'm looking at the chat. I'll take my QR codes by hand. That's not the point. So if you take your phone out, hopefully, use the QR code. This just takes you to our fundraising page for Hunger Action Month. I'm actually wearing, I don't know if you guys can see, Fight Hunger. It's one of our cool new t-shirts. So if you give a $50 donation, you'll get the t-shirt. So I figured I would put that in there. Hunger Action Month is a huge campaign that not only Move for Hunger does, but a lot of hunger relief and food rescue communities and companies kind of go back or go towards to talk about. And so this is something that we all kind of get behind and talk through and educate people about food insecurity. We just happen to also talk about food waste. So if you click on that QR code, it'll bring you to that fundraising page and talk through a little bit like that.
This one, yes, this is
Yep,
Hunger
that
Action.
one.
More information there. And then this next one is for anyone looking for more information about Move for Hunger, what Bridget and I just talked about for the last hour, and a quick and easy way to get joined, just signed up and enrolled.
Yeah.
Cool.
You can also, I know we're going to do like the contact page too. So if you ever have questions, I'm on LinkedIn. You can shoot me a DM there, shoot me over an email, all of that. I am pretty available, even though I have a crazy travel schedule. I try to get to everybody that is interested in joining or just wants to learn more about Move for Hunger.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Bridget. Yay, that was so good.
Yeah.
Such a great conversation. Thank you so much for being fully prepped with all of this information. But that was a lot, audience. So does anybody have any burning questions, any last minute thoughts? We are all ears for the next couple minutes. I know it's hard sitting through a whole online webinar and be like, okay, question and answer, but I know I can think of some.
Yeah.
Oh, a chat. Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so
Love
sweet.
the session. Thanks, guys.
Yay, great. Well, like I said, we'll hopefully
Yeah.
be able to, I'm going to chat with some of the organizers of the summit and get some additional links and collateral out to people about Move for Hunger, just to spread the word, give out some more information and how to join if interested. So thank you so much, everyone. This was great.